Hey everybody, I'm going to do a quick intro to while loops. There's going to be two of these videos. One's going to talk about single loops, and the second one's going to talk about nested loops, where we have a loop within a loop. The basic while loop works a lot like an if statement. So part of the reason that we did if statements first is one, well, because they're nice and simple, choosing between two or more choices. But here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to use the same sort of truth statement, test to see if something's true, to carry out a particular action. So we start off with a while, and then just like an if statement, we put something that we want to have happen. So I just want to do something simple, where I want to print out a message 10 times to the screen. So you'll see I made a couple of variables. You'll see I made an integer called top counter, something called a bool that's keep going, which we'll talk about in a second, and then another one called bottom counter. So I'm just going to use that top counter here for this one. So I'm going to say, well, top counter is less than, I don't know, we'll say 15. So we'll print stuff out 15 times. Okay, put our brackets just like an if statement, and then it's just going to behave just like an if statement. So whatever we trap in here will happen over and over and over again. So in this case, I will see out a phrase, thanks for watching. And then I will use an escape character to hit the enter afterwards. So if I just run this, you'll notice that it kept on going forever. And it's just going, thanks for watching, and it's kind of spamming forever. So what happened? Well, you could see that I started top counter right here at 0. Okay, let me close this. And I put this condition, while top counter is less than 15. Well, what happens is it tests this, goes down to the bottom, then tests it again. Well, if it's still true, it goes back into this loop. I didn't do anything to make top counter change, and so it just kept on printing this out every time. So I am going to do what is called a counter controlled loop. Okay, in this case I am using top counter plus plus as a shorthand. If you remember, I could have written top counter equals top counter plus 1. Okay, or I could have even done plus equals 1. But the plus plus is a little shortcut because we use it so much. In particular, we use it for these kinds of loops. So now we have this, we run it, and you'll notice that we print it out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 times. So we feel really good about that. Now, a couple of things to remember is that I had to initialize my counter before I got into the loop. If I don't initialize it, we can get some really funny behavior. It'll have a random value in it. It might be negative, it might be positive, so we don't know what's going to happen. So this is a classic loop. Okay. The other one that we often get, and I think is really important, is one that we call a flag. A flag sort of loop. So this one, we have something called this bool, this value here. The bool is really just a way to save a value that you know is either going to be true or false. So there's basically two states that it can have, true, and the other state is obviously false. So what this loop does is it says when this statement is true, it goes into the loop. So like for instance, if you wanted to just like keep a loop going on forever, you could actually write while true, and regardless of our counter, if we just ran this, it would just keep going forever and ever and ever, because it basically says while true, well, true is always true, so it keeps going on forever. So anyway, so we could do something like keep going equals true like this to really say I want keep going to be true, but hey, wait a second, I initialized it to be true, so if I just wrote keep going here, it would actually behave as if it was true because of what we set up here. Okay, while keep going. honestly, I think for most people, it makes a lot more sense to do this to start off, just to get used to it. But realize you can do it the other way. So, well, what could I do? Well, in this case, I'm going to keep my counter going. This is just kind of another way to break it, but you'll probably figure out pretty quickly that oftentimes we might want to do something we don't know how long it's going to go for. So while this keep going equals true is a great way to do it. So now what I could do is I could say, well, if top counter, I don't know, mod 42 equals 0, then we'll stop. Okay, so then what we'll do is we'll set keep going equals single equal sign false. Okay, another cool way to do this is to write keep going equals not keep going. And what that does is, so keep going equals false, very obvious what that does. Keep going equals not keep going. This is a way to kind of flip back and forth between a Boolean and not a Boolean. So if it was true, it would get saved as false and things like that. Again, that's a cute little trick, not something that you need to desperately know. So what is this piece of code going to do? Well, it's going to keep going until top counter gets to be a multiple of 42, right? We'll mod by 42, and that's 0. It will go. Now, why didn't I just say, why not if top counter, equals 42? Well, what if I had a little cin statement up here where I said, I asked somebody to enter some value for top counter to start, and then I would go up until my multiple of 42, no matter what what they entered. So, again, just trying to, later on, we'll be writing a little more sophisticated programs. There might be a lot of different reasons that we might want to stop. Okay, so this one here, for us, it will run a bunch of times. Okay, you'll see that. Now, you'll notice something here. We haven't really run into this with the loops. You can easily put more on the screen than shows. So here I got down all the way to the bottom, and then I scrolled up my little console window up to the top, and you can see that there was more there. So there's a little bit of a buffer there. We'll try not to print too many things to it. Anyway, so this is also often called a flag, where we have something, we set it to true, something to false. So what if we were doing it the other way? What if we just said we're always doing this true, we didn't want to make a variable, and we wanted to have the same behavior? So the other thing that we could have, or maybe there's multiple conditions to break. So like, hey, if we got to be a multiple of 42, we could break out of the loop. And what that does is that gets out of here. Okay? And it actually will exit the closest, the current loop that it's in. So if you're in a double loop situation, it'll break the one that you're in and take you back to the other one. But this hops one level out of the loopness. So I might do something like this, where I'd say, cout, go, 42. Okay, but I also might have another case where I might say if, top counter equals 17, I will, cout something cool, and then I will also break out of the loop. So this is a real common thing to do, have a couple of conditions that break, and then I might, when I break out, I might set a flag when I break. So I might keep going now is equal to false. Why would I do that? Well, maybe I have something else down here outside of the loop. See, here's where the loop ends, and I might have a little question. Well, if keep going equals false, then I want to do something else. So basically, it's like I went through this loop, I broke out, I want to send a message down outside of the loop. How did I break out? Did I break out because it was an error? Did I get one success or another? And so I might check something out here. So this turns out to be a pretty cool thing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about right now. I'll talk about some other stuff later. Thanks.